going live. You need to turn off the volumes. Not you. Hello, everybody.
Not you.
I was talking to Joanna. Thanks for being here. Glad you're hanging out with us tonight, and it's going to be an awesome evening. I still, in my mind, think it's Wednesday night when we're doing this.
So do I.
That's what happens when you do that for 5 years or 6 years, whatever we were doing
100
live.
years.
Oh, that's what happens when you were doing this for 100 years on a certain night. And now, here we are on a different night, and it's been, what, at least a couple, has it been a couple months?
I don't know.
I think it has, and I still am in my brain thinking
It's Wednesday.
it's Wednesday, and it's not. So, and it doesn't help that my schedule's all messed up because I'm not back at school yet. And as many of you know, if you're on a vacation or something, sometimes you lose track of the days.
Yes.
Thank you, Sky, for becoming a new prime timer. Really appreciate it. Right from the start, appreciate you being here. We're going to give it a second, of course, for all the KG Tropicals loyalists to come on in here and filter on in. And if you haven't seen that live stream, you should. It happens right before ours. KG Tropicals on their YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. They have all kinds of segments and guests and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
I got to watch theirs. I
They
missed
do
it
a
earlier.
professional job over there.
They are pros.
They are pros, so I'm hoping everybody's doing well. I see Oink is in the house. Thank you very
Hi,
much. Always
Oink.
appreciate our moderator. Second floor is here as well. So
Hi,
big
guys.
thank you. Yeah, and I guess the big news, Joanna and I were literally just talking about this before I hit the go live button. If you saw my Instagram posts or my posts on Facebook, this is going to be a long night if I can't talk 2 minutes into this thing. Aquashella has released dates that they are going to have for 2025. There are going to be 3 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't memorized the dates yet because I just saw the post and I just kind of forwarded it around. But what's interesting is there are 2 new locations. So Dallas is the first one that's going to be happening. And so for everybody rolling on in here, we're talking about Aquashella. Thanks for being here. So Dallas is the first one, and that is around May 17th from what I can remember. I'm just going on, I should probably, can I just give me a second here? I don't want to tell you things and then tell you wrong dates. That's just going to be a bad idea. So Aquashella, like I said, if you saw my Facebook post or my Instagram post, Primetime Aquatics, if you're not following us there, you should. So Dallas is May 17th and 18th of 2025. And then they have 2 new locations, which I'm glad they're doing that because I just think going to the same 3 places year in and year out is maybe not the best way to do that. And I think they agreed, which is pretty awesome. So the second one, there's 1 in the spring and there's 2 in the fall. So no summer Aquashellas like we're used to seeing. New Jersey is happening September 6th and 7th. Here's the funny part about that. Did you see the location?
Oh, I made the assumption, and I'm like,
it's
yeah.
the New Jersey Convention Center, which was the last time we were in New Jersey at the Aquatic Experience.
Yeah.
That's where they held it. It's a nice location. There's
It
a couple
is.
hotels right next to there.
You can walk to a couple eating places, coffee places.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The third one, I'm
shocked.
well,
I'm actually shocked.
I'm not as shocked. I wouldn't have been as shocked maybe a month ago, but I have questions, right? And so the third location is in Los Angeles, October 25th and 26th. So obviously California is going through an awful lot right now, so I don't know how that's going to be, but we have some time to see how things play out. But, so the first one coming up here is in May. Now, will we be there? I don't know just yet. We haven't talked to the people. So at Aquashella, not everybody, but at least our contacts for Aquashella are all gone now. So I don't know what their plans are, but we'll see. We will see what happens. So that's the land. That's the news that just came out today.
Thank you, Beauty and the Buds.
Oh yeah,
40K.
That's right. You hit a milestone this week. So
That's cool.
And what was the milestone? Just so everybody knows.
40,000
on the small scape. Yeah, very nice. Good job.
Very exciting.
You did good.
Thanks.
And Scotty says, I heard today that LA is hosting the 2028 Olympics. Yeah, that's been in the plans, but at least that's 3 years away. Aquashella, if they have it in LA in October, is only 6 months. So not 6 months, 9 months away. So we'll see. Okay, things going on this fine day. Let's see here. Thing number 1. So Atlanta Videos on Sunday. I did 10 things I wish I knew about plants for people who are thinking about keeping plants. So if you haven't seen that, check it out on Primetime Aquatics, the channel you're currently watching. On Monday, really exciting Tank Talk podcast video that I thoroughly enjoyed. And that was, we got to sit down with Rick Borstein. Rick Borstein was a member of the Greater Chicago Cichlid Association, a very, very successful breeder. And not only he's a master breeder of cichlids, he's got all kinds of experience breeding all different types of live bears, many of which are critically endangered, if not very near extinction in the wild. So if you haven't seen that episode, it was a very interesting episode. So Monday, this past Monday, Tank Talk podcast on YouTube. Check out that interview with Rick Borstein. And we have a couple other really sweet interviews that we did this cycle of. We kind of record 4 at a time. So really excited to get those so that you can see them. Emma, that is correct. So for Aquashella, there is no Daytona Beach, no Florida this year, no Chicago.
No
So
Chicago.
they swapped it with New Jersey and LA.
Kind of
so
a
the
bummer.
coasts.
But I understand.
Yeah. Yesterday on the Small Scape, your channel, so there was no Container Joy video this week.
Nope.
Time got away from us because of all the busyness we had going on this weekend. But
Very
yesterday,
busy.
what did you do on the Small Scape? Do you remember? Oh wow, you're
Oh
suffering
my
like I.
gosh. Yeah, I'm
How
suffering
about
like
some
you.
fish that went with
Oh,
shrimp?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shrimpy friends.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
it was
came
fun.
up with
That was a fun video.
yeah. So it was so fun that you've forgotten what it was.
That happens a lot.
It does.
And it happens more and more as the days go by.
I know.
If you know what I mean.
Some people here probably know what you mean, and others are like, man, what is wrong with this lady?
Well, especially lately, I catch him doing what I've done. I've been a professional at this for many a year. You walk around, you walk into a room, and then you don't know why you've gone there. Or you're looking for something that you have that you're holding.
I saw a post on Facebook that said, the best way to remember what you needed at the grocery store
Yeah.
is to go home. And then get it when you go there.
Oh,
and then you
yeah.
remember.
That works like a charm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So prime timers today, we talked about the 125. There was some weird twists going on with that tank, unexpected things. And then on Sunday, I will have a species profile for you for a fish that I think has been forgotten in the hobby. And I don't think it should be. I think it's awesome. So TJ, glad you're here for the first time being here live. That's pretty awesome. Hope you enjoy it.
D-Rock says the Pomona Fairplex, that's where the LA Aquashella is being held, is where they host the Aquarium, Reptile, Bird, and Succulent Super Show. There's like 4 airplane-sized hangars on the fairgrounds. Okay. Well,
Okay, so
hopefully
that's
it does seem to be
yeah.
a little bit off to the east, the northeast from the active fires.
Okay.
So
that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Let's see where we are going. So first of all, thank you to everybody who came out to the Quad City swap this past Sunday. It was great. It was the busiest swap we have seen since swap season began.
Oh my
this
gosh.
September. There were at least,
Yes.
I would estimate 1,500 to 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
It was a really, really busy swap. We are going to be in Northbrook at the Greater Chicago Cichlid Association swap this Sunday. Website Primetime Aquatics has been updated for fish available for pre-order. Thank you to everybody who's already put in orders. We've already sold out of quite a number of fish, but that's where we're going to be. And then there will be another swap on the 1st of February. That is the Greenwater Aquarium Society. That is in Tinley Park. And then we have a dual swap. We go back to, I go to Davenport, you go to Northbrook, because we have a Quad City and a GCCA on the 23rd of February. So we are going to be in a lot of places coming up here in the next 4-5 weeks. Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on. So that is
Whip, you're gonna go to. I see you're doing it again in Chicago. You said
Yep.
you're gonna be there at the GCCA.
Yep. That's very cool.
Cuckoo.
Lynn says, loving the baby pea puffers. They
Oh,
gobble up baby
good.
brine shrimp. Yeah, that's what we were feeding them just because we ran out of snails. We don't have a lot of snails believe it or not. And for those of you who have been watching the channel for a while, I remember all of our tanks were just crawling with pond snails. And even the Malaysian trumpet snails, we only have them now in basically one tank, and that's this bristlenose breeding tank.
Yeah.
They're basically gone everywhere. So somehow snails have gone bye-bye, and it's absolutely crazy.
But wait. Go back to Lynn's comment.
Yeah.
After we left the swap, went to PetSmart with the puppies and fell on my face in the parking lot.
That's not good. I hope
Oh,
your face is
Lynn,
okay,
are you
along with the rest
okay?
of yourselves.
You know,
Not cool.
our little dog Gracie, she's a English bulldog, but she's really more like she's got to be half Boston, half English. So she's like 35 pounds. She has pulled me over 2 times, not expecting it. She just she's strong. If you're not expecting it and you're, maybe picking something up, blammo.
I have a philosophy with that. I can get the leash wrapped around my lower body to the point where if they pull, they just hit my legs and then they can't go anywhere.
Oh, I tried one thing. I thought I was being so smart because I saw somebody kind of like off, like coming a little bit closer, but I was picking something up. So I put my foot on the leash.
Oh, that doesn't work.
It did not.
No.
It did not help at all. And that almost caused a serious demise of mine because bad idea.
Nicholas, thank you so much for being a prime timer the last couple months. Some months ago, you recommended multis to me. I have them. I love them. Thanks for being a steadfast source of great informed and fun content. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the multis. They are a very fun fish. For those of you who don't know, multis is the short name for Neolampologus multifasciatus. Just type in multi-shell dweller. They're from Lake Tanganyika. They stay small. Easily can put them in a 20-gallon with some sand, some shells, a little bit of rocks, and you're going to have a really fun aquarium. That is for sure. Okay, let me see what else we got going on here because we have a topic today. So we got 2 things going on today. Thing number 1 is we're going to be talking about fish that are super active in your aquarium. And so if you're looking for action-packed fish, we're going to have 5 suggestions for you. They're more of groups of fish, not just one particular fish. And so you can have lots of options within the options. And then we do have a giveaway tonight. So if you are into that, we have a nice one for you coming up here a little bit later as well. I do want to say thank you to Tim for being a prime timer the last 3 months. 3 months already. Yes, yes. Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you. All right, let's get into this thing. Should we? Okay, so we have 5 types of fish that I think if you're looking for energy and you want something that's going to be moving around in your tank and just going crazy. And you know what, Emma? I like it. What do you think the 5 are going to be? So let's give people a second. What do you think if you had to pick 5 types of fish and you want to throw that in the chat, share your knowledge?
Wait.
What do you think those 5 types are going to be?
I'm going to write them down too because I haven't. I know you told me, but I actually wasn't listening.
Well, that is
sorry.
Rather
I was
shocking.
in the middle of doing something. I don't multitask.
So Shamu's got some barbs, rainbowfish. Emma's already said barbs. Absolutely. Yep. Danios, more barbs. Corey's Danios, guppies, rummy nose tetras. Love it. We've got some really good guesses going on here. All right.
Okay.
Shall we get into it? Fish number 1. Y'all were pretty darn good. And that is Endlers. And I'm going to include the guppies here as well. All right. So we're going to say Endlers and guppies. These are, but especially the Endlers, I find them to be even more crazy a lot of times than guppies are. And they are absolutely full of color, which I love about them. The nice thing is, I don't know how many of you have ever kept Endlers before, but they're pretty exciting little fish. They are constantly in motion, constantly zooming around. They're full of color.
They are.
And I think this little 5-gallon that you had really displays some of the nice color. You had them in there with a betta. Didn't like that combination when you did it after a while because you felt like the Endlers were stressing out the betta.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
yeah.
Be careful here. So the fish that we're talking about today, you don't always want to keep them with fish that are going to be really, really slow, really methodical, maybe slow eaters, because sometimes they are just going to be a little too crazy. But I would say they're peaceful fish, right? I mean, they didn't pick on the betta. It was just that they were just a little bit too much for them.
Too much.
So a lot of activity, a lot of color, as you're seeing throughout this little video. And by the way, I've got species profiles for all of these fish linked in the description below. So if you want to learn a lot more information about any of the fish that we talk about in this live stream, go there, check out the species profiles, and you're going to see all the information you need, how to care for them, how to breed them, water parameters, all that stuff. But yeah, Endlers, small, they're beautiful. They are peaceful fish for the most part. If you're going to keep Endlers, I recommend doing like 1 male and at least 3 to 4 females. I'm not a big fan of trios when it comes to live bears. I don't like that. I don't like the 1 male to 2 females for me personally, because I still think the 2 females get too stressed out.
Oh.
So I know the females sometimes don't have the color and the finish that the males do, but if you just want a nice, healthy aquarium, 3, 4, 5 females for every male, and you're going to be in pretty good shape.
What about all males?
You can do that. Sure, that can be done. There's lots of varieties of Endlers too, which I think is pretty cool. You know, so you have different color varieties. You know, I've already shown you some yellow, some orange, some blue, and they've all got different names. We're not going to get into that tonight, but really, really awesome fish. Anything else you want to share about the Endlers?
No. Now, when you're talking Endlers and guppies, what would you say the max size for each of those would be?
Tank-wise?
No, size of the fish, and then also tank
okay.
size.
Sure,
yes.
sure.
Are they the same, different?
Yeah, Endlers are going to, thank you, that's a great question. So Endlers are going to stay right around an inch or so. Guppies, I've seen some guppies approaching 2 inches, maybe like some females are even a little bit larger. So guppies are going to be larger. And therefore, Endlers, I don't have a problem putting Endlers in a 5-gallon. Even though they're active, they stay pretty small. They use the entire tank. I think it's okay. But for the guppies, because they are a little bit larger, I like a 10-gallon. Get a couple males, maybe 6 or 7 females. And trust me, in both cases, you're going to fill up your aquarium at some point. So you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with all these offspring, because it does happen. And a lot of times it happens a lot faster than people realize. They're really cute babies, and it's always exciting, but have a plan for them. What are you going to do with all the offspring? Okay, so for those of you who said guppies, Endlers, love it. I saw a lot of people guess this next one. And the next one is the Danio.
Oh, yeah, that would be on my list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Danio is, it's a great fish. Now, there are some things to consider with the Danio. They do stay, with the exception of the giant Danio, they're going to stay relatively small. All right, so you're looking at around 1.5 inches or so, maybe a little bit longer for some varieties of Danios. And there are lots of different types, right? The ones I'm showing you here are the standard Danios, but you have leopards,
Zebra
Danio. We had, what was the one? Fireline Danio. I like those quite a bit. Those were extremely active fish. Of course, you've got the giant Danio. That's a little bit different than what we're talking about here, because that is an extraordinarily active fish, but they get a lot larger, need a larger tank. But for the most part, you could put Danios in a 10-gallon, again, because they stay small, and they just boom, 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 shoot back and forth. Big thing here, keep them in groups. You know, we always hear minimum of 6. I would prefer 8, 10, 12, maybe even 15. Now, that's kind of a lot of fish, but it does keep down their, well, I wouldn't say aggression, but their ability or their propensity maybe to fin nip one another or other fish. It does happen. I would say that's probably the downside of Danios, is sometimes they will fin nip fish. Sometimes they will be a little rough on one another as well. So larger tanks are always better. If you can get a 20-gallon or larger, that would be certainly a good way to go. But there's lots of different varieties. You've got long fin varieties, which for me, the long fin varieties always just become fin nipped, what once was long fin that are then short fin varieties. So just keep that in mind. The other thing too, I would love to hear from you. If I'm the only one that experiences this, does anybody else have issues with the health of Danios, just generally speaking? Because I have harder water. And so for the Endlers, the guppies, they love hard water. The Danios, they don't mind it as well. And so my water's on the harder side. I've got a pH that's approaching 8. And the standard Danios, I have such a hard time with them. I cannot keep them alive for long periods of time. So I think of the fish that we're talking about today, unfortunately, they are some of the least hardy. Now, you could make that argument with guppies as well, that are store-bought. If you're not getting them from a breeder, sometimes the guppies can be a little bit tough to keep alive as well.
For sure.
You know? Oh, that's a big miss on my part. Yeah.
Wonder if it's on my list.
Hold on.
Which one?
Juicy Jess? Yeah. Oh my!
What?
I didn't put it on there, but that is like the fish.
What?
The blue tetra.
Oh, yeah.
I did a species profile on the blue tetra, and oh my gosh, it's not on my list. So full disclosure, it should have been on my list because it's a super crazy fish. Well done. Yeah, that one is definitely crazy. Luke, thank you very much for the super chat. Y'all's fish room is amazing. Well, thank you. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, so Danios,
Yep.
definitely crazy.
For sure.
Oh, they also have the glow light Danio. If you're into that sort of thing, you like pink and yellow and green fish that are going to kind of fluoresce under that blue light. Danios also, yeah, they do like some high flow for sure. Anything else you want to say about the Danios? I know you had the
Zebra,
No.
zebra, didn't I?
You had zebras. You did get some at one point from a Greenwater meeting. You wound up with some glow Danios. I remember that in a 5-gallon.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So I think they were fish that just nobody bid on. They're like, all right, just take these for $1, and you're like, fine, we'll take them for $1.
Yeah.
So
Generally, they're pretty fast moving for me. I like my fish a little more mellow.
and so far, all the fish we've talked about are pretty inexpensive, right? I mean, Endlers, if they're just mixed Endlers and guppies, they're fairly inexpensive. Danios are very inexpensive. So, yeah, those are all really cool. All right, next one. And a lot of you got this one as well. And it is the Barbs.
The Barbs.
Not all Barbs, but Barbs in general, a lot of them can be very, very active. And so I'm showing you here some rosy Barbs. We have the 75-gallon on Joanna's side of the fish room over here. We have Odessa Barbs. We have Clown Barbs. Those things go crazy. Of course, Tiger Barbs. Melon Barbs are full of activity. Some of the craziest ones, I say the Clown Barbs are right there with the Melon Barbs in terms of the craziest Barbs. They come in, well, but then you've got the tinfoil barb, and that's a massive fish. So if you're thinking about Barbs, not all Barbs are crazy. So cherry Barbs, snakeskin Barbs, V8 banded Barb, those are very chilled out fish, okay? But pretty much all the rest, they can be pretty darn active, right?
Yeah.
I've done species profiles on the rosy barb, a number of them. Tiger Barbs, green emerald, tiger Barbs, and a few others. So if you want to just type in Barbs Primetime Aquatics, you can get an idea of which ones are going to be more active than others. But awesome fish, lots of different types of Barbs, lots of different sizes. Anywhere from a cherry Barb that's an inch to a tinfoil Barb that can grow to 14 inches. So there's a big, big variety there. But like I said, with the exception of those few I mentioned, most of them are usually fairly active. Lots of cool colors on these fish. When you feed them, it's like you've never fed them a day in your life. They go absolutely nuts. The other cool thing, and I've mentioned this before, duckweed. Most of the Barbs eat duckweed, with the exception that I have found of the cherry Barbs and the 8-banded Barb. Almost every other Barb that we've kept, and we've kept lots of them, they eat the duckweed. So that's really cool. But lots and lots of energy. Again, just like the Danios, keep them in groups of at least 6. But for the Barbs, especially these active ones, highly recommend 10, 12, 15, 20 or more. And that means tank sizes are going to be all over the place. Because on your smaller Barbs, like the snakeskins, I think because they're so chilled out, you can put them in a 20-gallon tank. Most of these really active ones, I'd like a 40 breeder or even a 4-foot tank for them. Wouldn't you say?
Sure.
What else about Barbs? What did I miss? They can be fin nippers. They can be rough
True.
on one another. That's why you want big groups, right? So that's why I said 8, 10, 12, 15, 20. The more, the better. The less nippy they're going to be with one another.
Do they jump?
Yes,
can they be
that's a good
jumpers?
point. Yes, some of the Barbs do jump, especially the more active ones. And so every once in a while, it's not uncommon. You're like, what
Get
the
a
heck is that
flying fish.
crusty thing? Oh, there's a Barb. And they'll find small areas in your lids that, like those backs of the lids where you don't have everything quite covered because you got filters and stuff back there. It is sometimes, every once in a while, you will find one on the floor, unfortunately.
Not good.
But absolutely outstanding fish. So for those of you who said Barbs, you were right on it. Love it. A lot of you mentioned the Denison Barb, otherwise known as a roseline shark. I don't find them to be quite as absolutely nuts when it comes to their activity level. They're in motion usually, but I would say they're kind of like that midpoint, right? They're not quite as docile and relaxed as the snakeskin Barbs, cherry Barbs, 8-banded Barb, but they're not necessarily as crazy as, let's say, a melon Barb or a tinfoil Barb, right? Okay. A lot of you got this next one, and I love it. Sky, absolutely not on my list. You're 100% right. The ballast shark is another big one that is very, very active for sure. It's one that could have absolutely been on the list as well.
Yeah.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah. Betcha I have it.
You think so?
Yeah, I already got 2 of them.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I've seen it pop up a number of times.
But I've
over
got a
here.
couple that you don't. I betcha.
So you're going to
I
add
would-
to the list, and we're not going to have 5?
Yeah. No, I betcha. Well, I mean, we'll see, but I don't think you
Okay.
would pick them.
So the next one up on the list, and that's these guys here. The
Yep.
rainbow fish. A lot of you mentioned the rainbow fish, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to
Yeah.
pause this video here because it's not very long and it goes into a different type of fish. So it's not you, it's us. I
Please.
literally just froze this video, or froze the video that you're seeing here. These are dwarf rainbows. They're some of the smallest. And when I'm saying rainbow fish, I'm talking about the full-size rainbows. I'm not talking about the pseudomoguls that are only 1 inch to 2 inches, like the threadfin. Threadfins aren't pseudomoguls, but Gertrudes. What
Blue
are the other
eyes.
ones? The blue eye reds. What else?
The Furcata.
Furcata, Signifer, Celebes. Those are the small ones. I'm talking about the big ones. I'm talking about your turquoise rainbows, your yellow rainbows, Kurumoi. There's a whole. We've had a whole bunch. We got a bunch in the 125 right behind Joanna's head over there. Absolutely love the fish. The nice thing about the barbs is, the rainbow fish, they do get larger. Like the dwarf rainbow fish that you're seeing here, they stay smaller. They might get maybe 3 inches or so, 2.5 to 3 inches, still full of activity. But the larger barbs, especially like the red, I keep saying barbs, the larger rainbow fish like the reds, the turquoise, some of those can get like 5.5 inches, and they're going to need some space. So if you're getting the dwarf rainbows, could you put them in a 20 long? Sure. Get 6 of them, you're good. If you're going to get some of the larger rainbow fish, now I think you're looking at least a 4-foot tank, 55 gallon, 75 gallon. Like I said, that's a 125 back there. We've got a decent sized group of, 8 to 10 in that tank, constantly in motion. The nice thing is I found them to be really peaceful fish. Now, you had some complaints about them in the beginning of your fish keeping career, and what didn't you like about them? Do you remember what you didn't like about them?
About the rainbows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Well, I like the little rainbows. The little heads and big bodies.
Yep, that is the one thing. The
Not a
dwarf
fan.
rainbow is not as, like what you're looking at here, not as drastic.
Yeah.
But the reds, the turquoise, the yellows, the Kurumoi, that kind of thing, they got little tiny heads relative to their big bodies. And it does look a little different.
Yeah.
I personally really think the rainbow fish are awesome enough in color and personality where I can easily overlook that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that they are attractive fish, and they're peaceful, right? I mean, we've never had any issues with our rainbow fish, but we do keep them in relatively large groups and do that. Make sure you've got at least a group of 6. And the cool thing is, unlike a lot of the other fish that, let's say your barbs or even like tetras, rasboras, they don't school with other species. I have not found that to be the case with the rainbow fish. Like the rainbow fish, you can mix and match them, and they do tend to follow each other along. And in our tank, this 125, we actually have 2 giant Danios that were kind of mixed in with some of the rainbow fish that we had gotten at one point. And we threw them in there, and they actually all just kind of go back and forth together. It's pretty weird. So rainbow fish are very welcoming, which is kind of nice. And they are a pretty peaceful fish. I would say if there's a bad side, a downside, it's just their size. They do get big. Interestingly enough, even though they're super active, and maybe some of you have experienced something different, I don't find them to jump the way that some of the barbs do, or even some of the rasboras. Like this, all of our tanks back here, with the exception of the Mbuna tank by my head over here, they're all open top.
It's true. And they're notorious jumpers.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
No, the rainbow fish, I've never
No.
had an issue in that tank. And what's interesting is even the tank over here, the barb tank with the Odessas and the clown barbs, I have only found one of them on the floor. And we put probably 20 something barbs in that tank. So the rainbows, I'm not saying they won't jump. You should always cover your tanks, but they will usually be okay. All right, this next one. Some of you got this one as well, and I was very impressed. Are we ready? This is my 5 out of 5.
Oh,
so
boy.
if you've got a couple, feel free to add them afterwards, okay? So this one, to me, this next fish has the most pandemonium going on. Like just pure, straight up pandemonium in so many different ways. Are we ready?
Pray tell.
It's these bad boys, the Mbuna cichlids.
Okay.
Lots of different species. Some of them are relatively peaceful.
Yes,
Some of
as
them,
these particular ones move very slowly.
yeah, well, yeah, these ones I think is because I was filming at
You
the time.
probably just turned the tank lights on too.
And I probably did that as well.
Right.
So, but
They're,
they
like,
are
yawning.
usually very, very active fish.
Oh yeah.
What we have in this tank, and they're not all Mbuna because we had the white knight alis there, but we have Pseudotropheus solosi. The females are yellow, the males are the blue bars, light and dark bars, and then we also had rusty cichlids in there. We have in the gallery right now, about the 75 by me, we have some Pseudotropheus solosi, and that's 75 along with a bunch of yellow labs. So again, I've got a video how to set up an Mbuna tank. I show you a lot more, a lot of other different types, but they are very, very active fish. And when it comes to feeding, there is no fish on the, with the exception of maybe some of the barbs, they lose their minds every single time it's time to eat. So a lot of activity. And what I love about these fish, and so if I were to kind of break down the 5 I've given you, the Endlers and guppies, the Mbuna, they will use all areas of the aquarium from top to bottom, middle, you name it. They're going to go all over the place. Where to me, the Danios, the Barbs, and the Rainbowfish, they more or less like to stay kind of at their particular water level. Whatever water level they wind up choosing in their aquarium, they tend to stay at that water level more often. But the Mbuna, they go everywhere. Now, in terms of colors, you're not going to find better colors, more vibrant colors than with
I
the
know.
Mbuna.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
totally
whether you look at
rivals
the
the
fish
saltwater.
here, yeah, or yellow labs or red zebras or Johanni. There's just so many. That's a Johanni right there. I speak and boom, there it is. It appears. But these fish have extremely, extremely bright colors. The other thing is, like I said, they go crazy when it's time to eat, but they can be aggressive if you don't keep them properly. That's why if you're thinking about these fish, watch that video on how to set up an Mbuna tank, because you do have to overcrowd these fish. You do need some heavy filtration because in order to keep aggression down, we want to kind of get a lot of fish in the aquarium. That's why you usually see Mbuna tanks, peacock tanks with a lot of fish in the tank. They can be a little rough on one another unless you've got it properly set up, unless you have the right mix of fish, because some of the Mbuna are relatively mellow like you're seeing here. Some of them, like the Aratus, the Demasoni, the bumblebee cichlids, they are really, really, really tough on one another. Tank size, at least a 40 breeder for a breeding group, but really a 4-foot tank. 55 gallon, 75 gallon is a much, much better option for these guys, but really fun fish, really awesome fish. All right, so those are my 5. Now, you had a couple that popped into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share with the class?
Yes, I would.
Okay, bring it.
Silver tips.
So the silver tip tetra, you're saying that is, but you're saying the silver tip tetra is in the same league with these 5?
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't know about that right now.
All right. Fine. You can. Yeah.
They're active, but I don't think they're crazy.
Okay. What about? Well, I'm also thinking about ones that were really difficult to photograph, or if I'm trying to video, and you're taking the cam. All right. Now, how about the green kubutai? They're very difficult to photograph.
I would say for
They're
a tiny fish,
they're a tiny fast
they
fish.
were usually on the move. For
Yes.
the rasboras, are they the most active of the rasboras? I'm just trying to think.
They've got to be up there.
Because I don't find CPDs to be very active. Emerald dwarf rasboras are mostly stationary. The Chile's dwarfs, miras, those are all very inactive.
The lamp eyes are pretty active.
Absolutely. That's a big miss on my part. Yeah. Emerald
Way to
eye.
go.
Yeah, the emerald eye rasbora, very, very active. I would put the green kubutai
Right under
certainly
there.
a step below them.
Okay.
Right? But yeah, that's a pretty good one.
And then I
Yeah.
did see a couple people suggest, how about goldfish?
Yeah, they're always on the move, but they're
They
not
are.
like nuts,
They're
right?
not-
But
yeah,
they're
not like-
definitely
okay.
not something that is going to be super like bouncing back and forth like off of things.
What about rice fish? That was another
Yeah,
suggestion.
rice fish are definitely on the move.
Mhm.
Right? I don't think they're as
They're not crazy.
as because the rice fish we've had, sometimes they will, but a lot of times I find them just kind of nice. They move, but
Mhm.
not like, oh my gosh, these fish are just always just absolutely nuts.
What M&C says, what about the tiger limia? These are crazy.
Ours were, they were active, but maybe because we had so many in a 20-gallon, they,
Could be.
oh, JP, bring it. Yep, the bitterlings. Oh, how did I miss that?
Dude.
There's 2 big misses on my part tonight.
Awful.
Oh, that's the second big miss. The bitterlings. Oh my gosh, we've got the volcanoes. We had the whitefin bitterlings. Those fish are, JP, you're 100% right. I missed that one. Huge.
We're all taking a moment
Okay.
to check out this sweet shirt.
KG says, did someone say silver tips? Only a genius would say that.
Right?
Nice.
Right? Thank you, KG
yeah,
Tropicals.
The bitterling is a huge, huge one. Should have done it. Yeah, Lee should have done a top 10. Well, it's turning into a top 75 of the most active fish you've ever seen. Oh, oink. You're killing it. Yes. Maybe because I haven't had these fish in such a long time. I
Bravo.
mean, in terms of like a catfish, yeah, the Pictus cat, those things are insane. Good one. Love it. Yep, the Pictus cat are really, really active fish.
Oh, and Oink, I saw you asking. We would totally be trying to go to the New Jersey one, right? Because that's Oink territory.
I know. It just depends on what Aquashella's doing and their plans and everything.
It depends if you're going with me or not.
I hope to, be able to talk with them soon and figure out what the schedules are like, because our schedule is we in March are going to be at the Minnesota Aquarium Society, their expo that they're doing. That's March like the 20. It's a Saturday, the 20. Is it like the 23rd? It's somewhere in the early 20s. I think it's like the 23rd. So we're already going to be in Minnesota in March. And there's a couple other things that we kind of had on the radar because we weren't sure Aquashellas were going to happen. So we just have to kind of work out this whole schedule and see what happens. DM, thank you so much for the super chat. Would the stocking of 2 bristlenose, 1 opaline, 2 blue acara, 1 balzani, 1 jurapari, 6 7eye, 1 firemouth, and a true parrot work well on a 120. All right, so it's a 125. It's a big tank. I'm reading through this stuff and I hadn't gotten to the tank size yet. I'm like, oh, please give me a big tank to work with. All right, so you do have a big tank. That's cool. All right, 2 bristlenose, absolutely. Opaline, I like that. I think it would get along just fine with the fish you've got going on. 2 blue acara. All right, so here's the one problem you're going to have. Balzanii, they really, really, really like to have a cool down period, like multiple months of cool down. And I'm saying like they start getting into like mid upper 60s, and the rest of those fish, with the exception of the bristlenose, are not going to like that. So I might just not do that one because of that cool down period. I've had them in the fish room before, but because I didn't have the ability to cool down the entire room without cooling off all the tanks, I thought by putting them in the 75-gallon right by the window that maybe there would be a little bit of a draft, and in the wintertime that tank would be a little cooler. It didn't work, and they didn't live very long for me because of that. That was my fault. So the rest of them, I think for the most part are going to be, again, they're cichlids. You never know what's going to happen, right? You could have a blue acara that's got a screw loose and starts chasing around all your geophagus. Some of those geos, if you keep multiples, if they start pairing up, you could get some aggression going on there. But it's not like some off the wall stocking option. I would probably roll with it, with the exception of the balzanii. And if you've got to remove a fish or two later on, maybe in a year or two, because the geos, especially if you get them small, they're going to take a long time to grow up. But you might have to in a couple of years be like, okay, you know what? I have to start moving some fish, which it happens. They're cichlids. A lot of times that happens. Okay, let's see here. I saw some questions pop through here.
Well, coolies.
When they're actually swimming, when they're actually not hiding,
they're opposite. They're either really squirmy, or nothing.
Yeah, my coolies, you very rarely see them even around feeding time. They come out and they just kind of poke their heads around and look for food, but I almost never see them. Maxis, do any of these aqua shows happen in Colorado Rockies ever? Not that I know of.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, that would be fun. In fact, when
cool.
they were talking about the West Coast, that was one of the places I suggested, like the Denver area. I thought would be pretty nice and still be close enough for people who live in California to be able to get out there. But the location they picked is just fine too. Dory says, what is the smallest fish you'd put with a betta and what size tank? If I'm going to put fish with a betta, I want at least a 10-gallon. And size-wise, I would say most medium-sized rasboras would be about as small as I would go. So the green cubitai, the galaxy rasbora, dwarf emeralds, as long as you're not buying those really small and your bed is full grown. I wouldn't go super small. Like I wouldn't do the dwarfs miras or like the Phoenix rasbora, chilies. I think those would be too small. But you can go pretty small with them. All your small tetras. The big thing, especially if you go the tetra route, is making sure that they're well fed so that they don't start fin nipping the betta. Might be easier to keep them with the female bettas just because the fins aren't so enticing. Caitlin says, y'all's videos are so informative. Absolutely love watching them. Well, thank you for being here. Glad you're hanging out with us. I saw, where did all the stuff go? Whip said, for purely selfish reasons, I hope you guys don't go to Jersey, but go to the Clash instead. That's on our radar. So Keystone, I'm not saying we're going to be there, but it is something that we've looked at. And there's a bunch there. I mean, there's, as many of you know, there are so many shows out there. I think the one that's coming, I mean, we're not going to it, but the Aquatic Expo is in North Carolina. That's coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So I just saw that on Facebook. Yeah. He says, can a female and a male betta in a 75 community? No, don't ever put more than one. Don't put a male betta with any other type of betta. I mean, there's a few different species, but the store-bought ones, don't ever do that because males will always fight. A male with a female, they will, if they won't breed, the male will usually destroy the female. And even if they do, the male will usually still make the female go away even after breeding. So don't do it. Now you can keep multiple females together, but you have to keep a lot of them. I did a video on how to do a betta sorority. If you want to check that out, just type in betta sorority primetime aquatics and I go over that. But that can be challenging as well. Sky, thank you very much for the super chat. Betta, slow to eat and lethargic, but color and fins look good. Long white weight. All right, so there is definitely something. Yeah, Expel P, love it. He still doesn't want to eat. What should I do? Okay, you're on the right track. Make sure the betta is staying warm enough, right? Because sometimes a lot of people, what they do, and I'm not saying you did this, but a lot of people who have problems with bettas not eating and then stopping eating and losing all their energy is they're too cold. Bettas really like that 78 to 80 degrees. And so assuming that the temperatures are okay, the Expel P, the Paracleanse are the ways that in which I deal with that. And usually I usually use them in combination. And if that doesn't work, I don't have a whole lot of other options, unfortunately, but you're on the right track. Okay, let's see here. Where? Cody, thank you for being a prime timer the last year. Happy 1 year. My wife and I had our gender ultrasound today. Our baby is a girl. Very cool. And she already has a name. Oh, I love that. Olivia Danielle Gifford.
Oh, I love the name
well
Olivia.
Done. Yep.
Oh.
Well done on all fronts, Cody. That is so cool.
Oh,
congratulations.
Congrats.
Yep, that is an exciting time. As
Baby.
many of you know who have had children before, it's a very, very stressful time because it's a big time adjustment, but very rewarding as well. Okay. I think, what do you think? Do you think it should be time to do said giveaway?
Yes.
All right, hold on.
Concur.
I have to get all of my screens up to date, up and running, make sure everything is happening. So give me a second here because we need to get all, like I said, we try to get all of our many screens here all doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we need to be on all messages or live chat on all of these screens. So let me make sure that's
our
happening.
Screens will probably not match your screens. They
Okay.
never do.
So let me first show you what the dealio is here. And I'll just go to this little screen here. So what's happening? The giveaway is sponsored by
amazing.
Flip Aquatics. They are a channel sponsor. We absolutely love them. We've been partnered with them for many years. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to give away a beginner aquarium plant pack. So that's what is going on. And by the way, oh my gosh, I didn't even do it, and I'm going to have to as soon as I get a chance. We have this is going to go to a single winner, but as always, everybody is going to win as soon as not win this plant pack, but there is a 20% off all plants discount code. And can I just do this real fast before I forget? So let me do this. Let me put this in
20?
the description.
20%?
20% off all plants. And it's the
Sweet.
code is at checkout. You have to go to, hold on. I'm trying to do two things at once. Let me just type this in here. Plant discount code for Flip. Oops. Sorry. Didn't mean to waste your time here. Flip Aquatics. And it's good through, what did they say? 122 PT plants. And that will get you 20% off all their plants. So let me save that. Let me put that in there.
Cool.
And then I'm sure somebody will be typing that in there too. So the code is capital P, capital T, plants for 20% off. Now, sorry about that. So this is what you're going to win. And I believe the code is stackable with all these other discounts they currently already have going on. So that's pretty awesome as well. Plant packs, you've gotten them before.
Heck
I've
yeah.
gotten them before. You get a ton of plants. It's a lot of different varieties. And I am certain you will be rather pleased with how much stuff you wind up getting.
And like Sky was saying, she wants my luck that I got the red tiger lotus. You either get the red tiger lotus or I think the dwarf water lily. You get one of the two, and they're both stunning.
Okay, so in order to win this, a couple things have to happen. Thing number one is you have to live in the continental United States because that's how the shipping works. And thing number two, you have to pick the right number. And that number is going to be between 10 and 20. Feel free to start typing away. Can I see that again? Because I didn't actually pay attention. Okay, so between 10 and 20, the first person who gets it is going to get the plant. Oh, we're done.
We're done already?
Oh, yeah. I saw it
Oh.
3 times pop
Really?
up here in like 2 seconds.
Oh, okay.
That goes quick, man. You guys don't. It's like, when I was talking, everybody was smart. They had their number ready to go, and they knew
all you have to do
as
is hit
soon as I
enter.
typed the word go that they could just boom. Okay, so we need to just go ahead real fast and check our 57,000 screens because we want to be fair. And I did mention at some point this year, 2025, I'm going to figure out a different way to do this. Because I know some of you get annoyed by it, and I'm sorry about that. But hey, man, it's free stuff, so chill out. That's a joke. Okay, so
some sort of a
hold on.
box.
Let's see here. Can we is that?
Yes.
Okay, so you may reveal the number. The number
Can
was
I?
16, and Deborah
Yoder.
Yoder,
Yay.
you are the winner, Deborah. So
Congrats.
congratulations. What you need to do, Deborah, is you need to send an email.
Whip.
We need your mailing address.
Your name. Oh, well, we have your name.
Yeah, and we need your mailing address, and you're going to send that email to Primetime Giveaway.
Singular.
Primetime Giveaway at yahoo.com, and we'll take care of the rest. So congratulations. And like I said, everybody's like a partial winner because if you want plants, need plants, now's the time because you saw that there's already discounts on the plant packs and there's a ton of plants in stock. So 20% off. Can't go wrong there. All right, now here's the deal, as is always the case. We are going to need, Ted says KG Tropicals uses a bot app to select I'm going to have to talk to John.
I'm surprised you haven't already.
I think we did at one point, but at the time he
And then
wasn't
you
doing
forgot?
giveaways, and then he was like, "Oh, I don't remember what we used," but now he's doing all the things. John, KG Tropicals, man, their live stream by the way, it's right before this one. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Man, they got all the things. They got guests, they've got segments. It's like watching like a TV show. It's pretty darn cool. So
It's way cooler than this one.
and they have giveaways too.
Sweet.
All right, now, and I'm going to learn how to do the giveaways at some point. Oh, well, what I was going to say is if you had a question that you wanted answered, go ahead and re-ask it because once all the typing of the numbers goes in, it starts to we start to lose what happened earlier in the stream.
Oh, and Teddy Sunrise, we show you as third, and like he said before, your screen will probably not match ours because your screen will prioritize your comment.
Yeah.
And
So even if you're in all we can do is go by the 5 screens we have up and running. That's
Yeah.
what we do. So if our 5 screens agree, that's how we roll. Lynn, thank you very much. And so the discount code is in the chat there. PT Plans, 20% off at Flip Aquatics. Like I said, it's good until the 22nd. Robert asked, did Northfin send any of their new foods? Yeah. So we have, I showed them off last week. We have the bug sticks, which are pretty darn cool. We have the super mix and the red one. I'm blanking out. The red food, the red enhancing food. So we got all that stuff. We've been feeding it for the last, I don't know, week and a half or so. Fish are absolutely loving it. So it's pretty cool. Like it a lot. And then we'll, hopefully at some point, we'll start bringing it in once I need to replenish all the Northfin stuff that we bring to swaps. Ted, great question. Can I put a bristle nose with discus? Yeah, they don't mind the warmer temperatures. Just be careful that I would probably be more comfortable with female bristle nose as opposed to males. And just make sure that they don't ever get a taste for the discus slime coat. It doesn't happen all that often, but just in case, it would be worth just keeping an eye on that. The money list, nope, you do not have to be a member to win. Nope. Let's see here.
Whip says that Garage Gills wants to know your thoughts on aspidoras. What's an aspidora?
I don't actually have a ton of thoughts on that, unfortunately.
He has no thoughts.
I have no thoughts.
Whip, do you have any thoughts?
No, it just says, my question is about shellies, shell dwellers, Lake Tanganyika shell dwellers, little tiny fish. Where's a good place to get some? In southeast Wisconsin, I sleep days, so can't get to the swaps, which, yeah, that stinks. Lucky for you. You are in fantastic, you're in a great area because there's a couple in southeast Wisconsin. So what you could do, you could come south to the Deerfield.
Fish Planet.
Fish Planet may have them. I would call them first. The other places that are up by you in Milwaukee there's some really good pet stores there. Aquatics Unlimited, Fish Factory. Between the 3 of them, I would imagine somebody's probably got them. You're not that far from the GCCA in Northbrook. I know you said you sleep during the day, but if you ever get a chance to get yourself down there, I know it's really tough if you're working 3rd shift. I get it. I've done it before myself. A lot of times there are people at the GCCA swap that have them. Lady, good question. Do you bring fish to Aquashella? If the Aquashella is in Chicago, we would have. We did last year. We had a booth there. But if the Aquashellas are not 35 minutes from our house, we don't. We go there, we hang out, we talk with all of you because that's the main reason why we're there. We have some fun. But no, we don't really have a great way to bring a whole bunch of fish halfway across the country. It's really stressful to do. And in fact, when you go to the Aquashellas, you'll notice a lot of the vendors that actually sell live fish are local, right? So you have the big vendors that go to Aquashella, the Sea Chems, the Sea Che, Fritz Aquatics, those types of vendors. But many of the fish selling vendors are local. Like Chicago last year, many of the people selling fish were people we see at the swaps all the time. There are some that will travel with their fish. I just find it too stressful. I don't want to do it. So we would not bring any fish to any of the Aquashellas this year if we went.
Sky Elizabeth wants to know where in Minnesota is the swap that we're going to.
Oh, it's in Minneapolis. So it's a 1-day swap. There's speaking events. That's why we're going. I'm going to be speaking there.
Isn't it like a college or something?
Yeah, it's at a research station. I'll have to get the information. I'll put that up. Hopefully, if I remember next live stream, I'll put the information up there. But it's the Minnesota Aquarium Society. I think it's just called if you go to the Minnesota Aquarium Society website and look at their events page and you go over to their March calendar, it'll be like, I think it's the 23rd, and they've got more information there. But it looks really cool. I mean, it's only 1 day, but they pack that day out. Zen, celebrating almost 3 years. You're almost there. That's
wow.
really something.
Aww.
Do you have to be a member to be a cool kid, though? No, I don't think you have to be a member to be. There's a lot of cool kids here.
I'm not a member.
She's not
But
a
I'm
member. But
not
then
cool
you,
either.
Yeah, but then you have to address the
So
second part
that
of
doesn't, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't help the argument.
No, but you tried. Good job.
I've never been one of the cool kids.
But if you are a prime timer, you're definitely cool. There's no debating that.
But you have to pick your name then. Are you a prime timer, a primate, or...
No, we're prime timers. We settled that a long time ago.
Okay.
Shh, come on now.
Come on now.
Ray, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Should I buy guppies at Fish Planet in Deerfield? Sure. Yeah. I like we've been there a couple times. I really like the place. It's a clean store. They keep their tanks in good order. It's got a very good reputation in this area. So there are some stores that you'll never hear me speak about in our area. And so if I do speak about them, it's because I hold them in high regard. Fish Planet in Deerfield, Aquatics in Lombard are two that I really like. Kamicha says, can I add more fish? 29 gallon. 5 scissortail rasboras, 4 harlequins, 6 phantom tetras, and a dwarf gourami, and 3 snails. If I were going to, I might choose something for the bottom of the aquarium. And so maybe I might do 4 or 5 Habrosus cories or Adolphi cories or Venezuelas. You could do, you got the snails, so no loaches. Loaches are out. But yeah, I would look for something at the bottom. Let's see here. Yeah, mostly cory cats, again, because we want to keep our snails healthy, and the loaches sometimes will be like, hey, you know what? No. So yeah, pick some type of a cory cat. 4 to 6 of those. I think that would work out really well in your 29 gallon. Because you've got a nice group of schooling fish in that setup. I bet it looks pretty cool. Sarah, thank you so much for the super chat. Zenny's a show-off. Wait, what's that? What's Zenny's a show-off? Is that a movie quote?
Is that a quote?
Are you movie quoting us right now and I'm supposed to know this? You're putting me under all this pressure.
The last time somebody gave you a movie quote, you didn't get it. Remember that? I remember that.
Yeah.
You
there
were
was
like on a bad streak.
No, there was a night where people were shooting movie quotes at me and I couldn't get any of them. I was a disaster.
It was embarrassing.
No, well now you got to tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, Zen.
Are you talking about our Zenny?
You were talking about our Zenny.
But
Thank
about
you.
what? Zenny what? Zenny's
Hold on a second.
Zenny's
a show-off.
Zenny is the right to be a
Zen,
show-off.
Yep. That's okay. Now, all right, now I get it.
She's the best.
I was like, I thought you were talking. That's too funny. That's awesome.
It's okay. We'll eventually get it.
I was like, hey, what? Oh, okay. Here we go. This is a good one, Brett. What are the best derpy fish for nano tanks? That
Derpy
so
fish.
There's like, I'm existing. This is about all I can do. Oh, you go, because I'm going to have a hard time with this one. I think.
Really?
I think. Well.
Nanochromis.
Nano tank though? No, you can't put nanochromis in a nano tank. I mean, 20 gallon, yeah, but
right.
if you're looking at 5.
Nano tank for me is 20 gallon and under.
Okay, but you're at 20 only. I wouldn't go any less than that.
Right.
All right, so
pea puffers you could kind of
consider.
consider.
I was going to say that.
With their little googly eyes.
But they always look like they're thinking. So I don't know. Some people might
do.
interpret that as intelligent, or others might look at them and be like, "Wow, these fish are just circling around." Man, that's a really hard one.
Who could be derpy?
Because in a nano tank, you're thinking, I've got all the rasboras, which are schooling fish. The small ones, the scarlet baddis are definitely not derpy. They're always inquisitive. Even the pea puffers, you could make a strong argument that they're more inquisitive than they are derpy.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. What do you got? A fish that's just like, just... All the balloon fish always look derpy to me, but they're all too big, right? The balloon mollies and rams and all that. Peacock gudgeon, maybe, but to me they look like they're so intense also. Like they're always looking for something.
Derpy just says like gudgeons.
Goldfish are absolutely derpy, but they're not nano.
Can you imagine if they came out
A
with
nano,
little miniature goldfish?
Okay, CC, I could see that. Medaka, they just kind of have that lip that kind of points up, and they might be. They kind of waddle a little bit.
I think I could give
They've
that
got
to you.
Like little behinds that are just waddling. That's a good one. CC, I like that one. That's probably the derpiest of the derps. Yeah.
And they just sound so like elegant.
Yeah.
Rice fish. Derpy. Labeled them derpy.
Lynn, 52 months. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Pea puffers, ghost shrimp. Yeah,
Ghost
okay, so you
shrimp
agree
or
with the pea
derps?
puffers. Well, and the other thing, it's not a fish, but and this is an obvious one, snails. Like mystery snails, they get all the way to the top, and then they're just like, okay, let's go for a ride, and then it's all the way down again.
Yeah.
So mystery snails are basically classic at doing that. They just work their way to the top of the tank, only to just let go and float on down.
How about coolie loaches?
But they're not nano. I wouldn't put those in anything less than, I
Do you
guess.
put them in a 20?
I'd put them in a 20, but again, I don't think a 20 gallon is a nano tank.
Okay. Well, now I just want to know derpy fish. I really need to know a
there's
really
tons of
solid derpy fish.
Derpy fish, like larger derpy
Okay,
fish.
so name some.
The blood parrot it is the definition of a derpy fish. Bring it now. Now we can bring it all derpy fish. What do you got?
What do you got?
I think it's hard to beat the blood parrot.
Whip?
It is.
What do you got? Come on. I think Whip's going to have an excellent choice. I don't know why. I just know.
Rope fish, to me, are really derpy. Same with the bichers. They are as well. There's a million cichlids. There is a million large South American cichlids that just look like they got hit with the ugly stick, and they're just like, hello, I'm just going to sit here. Oscars. They're derpy.
yeah.
Half the time their mouths are crooked. They don't even they're like, I'm just swimming around. And they have an attitude problem.
What were the ones that were all, they were all the special. They were very special. The ones that we had in one of the 20s back here, remember? They were all just
They were
goofy
all
looking.
special. The apistos?
No.
Because we got some gnarly
No.
looking apistos one time.
No.
Loaches, yeah. Clown loaches can be derpy. Dory, I agree with you on that one.
They had really ugly faces where you're just like, oh.
Oh, wait. Not the rhinogobius. All the
No.
gobies. Gobies are all derpy, too.
Oh, all
All the
gobies are, yeah.
rhinogobius are.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No. It was
I
either the
vaguely
right 20, the top, or the bottom. It was on the right side.
I remember thinking that, but I don't remember the fish.
It's going to haunt me now.
I just don't know.
Silver dollars are derpy and dumb.
Yeah. How about the Raphael cat? That's a very derpy fish,
Oh,
too.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's see.
Wait, lungfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those just sit there. And then, of course, the goldfish at that point. They're all, that'd be right up there with the blood parrot, I think. All right, what other questions we got? Let's see here.
Oh, boy.
Going around. Okay, let's see here. Shamu Aquatics has an opinion. Let's see. Fish size guide. My opinion, nano 1 to 2 inches. So
Okay.
let's say less than 2 inches, right? Because you could have fish that are less than an inch. And I would agree with you. Small, 3 to 7. So if we're going to go 1 to 2, then anything over 2 inches, I would stop the small at, for me personally, I would stop at about 3.5.
Yeah.
And my mediums would go, because I'm thinking about common fish, right? My mediums would probably be somewhere around 4 to 6. And then once we get to over 6 inches, it's not quite large. So I'm going to throw in, I'm going to mess this all up, and I'm going to throw in extra medium. Extra medium from somewhere around 7 to no bigger than 8. And then once we get 8 to 12, that's large. And then anything above 12 is pretty darn big. Most people don't have an aquarium for that.
Really? Okay.
But Shamu, I could definitely see, certainly large, certainly monster, your definition, certainly nano. I think I would just divide up the small, medium, and I would have extra medium in there.
I have a hunch, though, that Shamu Aquatics has larger fish.
Probably a lot more than I do, because the largest ones we've got going on right now are the Vieja. We have Synspilum that are getting pretty big, and then I would say at this point the Argentia might be the largest fish that we have, but it's only, and maybe even some of those clown loaches are 7, 8 inches. That's it for us. We don't have.
Our largest ones are no longer here.
Yeah.
Oh, Evan asks if anybody got any new fish this week. My clown killifish from Aquahuna just showed up today.
Nice.
Oh, they're so
Love
cute.
clown
So tiny.
Very cool fish. Yeah, if you're
Make
looking
sure
for
your lid's on
oh my gosh.
real good.
Every square inch of that lid needs to be covered because they find the smallest little areas to jump. Clown killies are amazing because they are absolutely full of color, and they stay small. They're going to be at the top of your tank, and they will have they can be stationary, but they also will do some darting around the tank sometimes when they want to. Yeah, very nice. America has a problem.
Uh-oh.
America says 370 people are watching and only 119 likes. And to go smack the like button or punch it or kick it or whatever you got to do. Yep. Throat punch. Yep. Garage gills, bumblebee goby, for sure. What about the hillstream loach? Would that be a derpy fish?
I can't picture the face. Like
It's kinda
specifically like
flat,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I
So,
don't have opinion.
good question, Marco says, can I put small nanofish in a 2.5 gallon? Need to keep mosquitoes from laying eggs in there. I personally don't like fish in a 2.5. There are shrimp, there are snails that I would put in a 2.5. When I did my betta species profile, I said that's the absolute minimum tank for a single betta. We got away from that and really just do 5 gallons for them.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
even the super tiniest, if you're talking
all right,
you're
so if you want to
talking-
do like one scarlet batis all by himself, that would work just fine.
I have had, for like a limited time, I did have a pond, which was about 2.5 gallon. And I had the Hydrangea formosa, which is the 7th smallest freshwater fish. They were very tiny.
The only problem with that is I would not want to put multiple, like a Hydrangea formosa, but the minute you put a pair in there, that male is going to chase that female around. There's not a ton of places that she can go. I mean, you could maybe do that.
They were
The
very young.
The other
They were
common name is
juvies.
Fleur-de-lis killifish. You could put a big, I say big, but they're absolutely tiny, like a single male or a single female Fleur-de-lis killie or a single scarlet batis, maybe.
But shrimp.
But shrimp and stuff, but that's not going to solve his problem. Where,
No, I'm just saying shrimp is usually our go-to for that tiny of a tank.
Yeah, but those are
Yeah.
the other one that you might be able to consider is maybe the pygmy sunfish, a single one, right? And I
Because they're
think
not very active.
and
They
all
just basically
three of those
hide.
would take care of your mosquito larvae problem. Yeah. Whip says, Jason, I have a sweet 150 over here if you want it. You just need to come get it out of the basement. No, I'm good, man.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. I bet it looks familiar.
Is that the 150 we got out of my basement? Thought you were like double stacking those things or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, whip.
That would be, yeah, that's the last thing I need in my life right now.
Oh,
Good question, Planted. Does RO water lower your pH? What kind of worries would you have when splitting your water with half RO? That is an outstanding question. And the answer to that is it can, depending on how much you use. So the way this works is pH, it's a logarithmic scale. It goes from 0 to 14, 7 being neutral. Most fish keepers shoot for somewhere, unless they're really breeding some unusual fish, somewhere between 6 and 8. That's a pretty safe area for a lot of people who are keeping South and Central American fish. That 6 to 7, 7.2 is really sweet. If you're keeping goldfish, you're keeping most of the Great Lakes African cichlids, live bears, sometimes that pH from 7 to 8 is a little bit more ideal, sometimes a little bit above 8 for some of the Lake Tanganyikan cichlids. So if your goal is to soften the water, that is really the only way you can do it, is to add RO water, because RO water doesn't have anything in it. It's just pure water. When you do that, when you add RO water to your aquarium, you're going to be removing as a concentration, two things. You're going to be removing general hardness and carbonate hardness. KH, carbonate hardness, has an impact on pH. KH will buffer the pH in your aquarium. In other words, it will make it stable. Usually, the higher the KH, your pH is also going to be higher. So for instance, for us, we have a KH around 10 degrees. Our pH is extremely stable at around a pH of 8. it really doesn't matter what I put in an aquarium, the pH doesn't change. It can be massive pieces of driftwood, all kinds of botanicals, catappa leaves, cholla wood. It doesn't matter, the pH does not move because there's enough KH in there to buffer any acidic properties that the organics are going to release. Once you start adding RO, that KH is going to start going away. Depending on how you've stocked your aquarium and depending on what else is in it, i.e. driftwood, botanicals, certain types of substrates, some of your planted substrates, there is a potential there for that to release enough organic compounds where your pH will be impacted. So when you're thinking about adding RO water to your aquarium, I would highly recommend do it slowly. And so let's say your big problem right now is your GH and KH are through the roof, and so you want to add a little bit of RO water and soften that water up just a little bit. Fine. Maybe start with, hey, I'm going to do a 30%, whatever your water change percentage is, maybe it's a 25% water change, but when I add that water back, I'm going to add 50% RO and 50% tap water. So really, what you've done is you've done like a 12% RO addition and then test and see, okay, where's my KH, where's my GH? But you've really got to be careful because at some point, it's not like pH just gradually goes down. At some point, you'll add enough RO water where your KH is minimal and all of a sudden your pH can and sometimes will crash. So just be careful, do it very, very slowly over time and keep a really close eye on your KH. What you got?
All right, second floor. Do you want to highlight or comment?
Wait, you're just pointing to what?
Well, go up a little bit.
Hold on. This one?
Yes.
Second floor? Oh, man, you're 3.5 years over that.
That's like
pretty
forever.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for this awesome live stream and all the great information you share with all of us. Can't wait to see you both in Dallas. That would be awesome.
Right?
Very cool in
Yeah.
May. Thank you for being here. Nicholas, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm trying an OB as a wet pet in a 29 flipped on side. So, okay, so it's a 30 by 18 by 14. He was the one lone guy at PetSmart and wondering if this could be a problem long term. Seems like there is many schools of thought on the matter. So that's all you've got in the tank is a single OB. It's probably not going to be an issue at all. I wouldn't necessarily put anything else in there. OB cichlids, assuming that's what that is. You've got an OB cichlid. They're absolutely gorgeous. But a 30 by 18 by 14 it's fine. That's decent number of space. I mean, those fish will usually get to be 5-6 inches. So I don't know, maybe full grown. You might want to look for something larger if it's not full grown yet. If it's a 3.5 inch fish, you got a little bit of time. They do grow pretty fast. You know what? Maybe you'll have to look at a little bit larger tank, like a 40 breeder or something. The problem is going to be, in my experience with the OBs, a lot of people keep OBs with peacocks, and I have always found that to be a disaster because, to me, the OBs actually fit in a lot better with other Mbuna. But in a tank that size, I am fairly certain that whatever you put in that tank, unless it's a meaner fish than the OB, there would probably be significant issues. But if it's just that fish, you'll have some time with it, but you might have to get a larger tank because the OBs can and do. Yeah, if you wind up with a 6-inch fish, that might look a little cramped because they're also pretty active. Very cool fish.
Matt Flash says going to the GCCA for the first time on Sunday.
Very cool.
What is your favorite part of the GCCA as a buyer? I know what my favorite part is. What's your favorite part?
No, please go ahead and share.
Booths. There's a lot of good, although, you know who I haven't seen this year? Even last year? The booth guy.
Oh, with the trays.
With the tray
No, maybe
after
it'll be this
tray
time.
after tray. He was going to all of them.
Philander. So plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
great for plants.
You're just going to have a ton of selection. So pace yourself, walk around. There's going to be a bunch of people there, especially early in the morning. They have an early entry at 9:30. It costs like an extra few bucks or whatever if you do that. You get in there a little bit earlier than everybody else. If not, you wait, pay your $5 at 10 o'clock. And it's a busy time, but there's all kinds of selection. lots and lots of options.
Mulder guess, when planting your tank with Anubias, do you try and hide the rhizome? Kind of. I would have to say kind of. I like to either attach it behind a rock, so then you're not really looking at the rhizome, or you can wedge the rhizome in between rocks or between driftwood, or you can kind of underplant it as well, if you can actually hide the rhizome with other plants.
And I'm the exact opposite. I think the rhizome is the most interesting part of Anubias. So I actually really like to see the rhizome, and I like to see the roots coming down. So in this,
I like the roots.
The
Yes.
barb tank over there, on Joanna's side of the fish room, I've got some Anubias over there, and I purposely situated it so that you could see the rhizome, and eventually the roots will come down, and I think that really adds a lot to the tank.
I did that specifically in the 15-gallon column tank. I had all different kinds of
cool.
Anubias, and the roots grow real long, and some of them are like the Fraseria, the Congensis. The roots are very beautiful. Yeah.
Second floor, thank you so much for gifting 5 new prime time memberships. You got 5 new prime timers because you. Thank you for doing that. That's
so
awesome.
Nice.
Really appreciate that. Ooh, Evan says, I've been considering it. I am being a little bit greedy though because I'd like to fit some albino hecali with them. Albino hecali are awesome. We've got those are on our website too. We'll be bringing those to the swap on Sunday.
Oh, I forgot about
Very,
them.
very beautiful fish.
I'm usually just mostly interested in your tinies.
A full on centerpiece fish, if you will. It's very awesome.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I saw a question, and now because I was scrolling all over the place, Sky says, have you ever bred CPDs for a swap? No, only because with the smaller fish like that, we usually just import them, quarantine them for 4 weeks so that they're ready to go. And then I like to cycle through. So I don't generally like to allocate tanks to breeding any one type of fish because we'll bring the CPDs in for a while. And then when those sell out, we'll bring in dwarf emeralds. And when those are gone, we got chilies and then miras and then dwarf rasboras and the emerald eye. So I like to kind of cycle through and not keep any one fish for long periods of time and just kind of make it exciting for people who want to come in and see something different on the website or when they come into the swaps.
Vince Glortho, the coolest name ever.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's an easy mid-ground, background, bushy plant? What do you think?
Depends on the size of the tank. If it's a small tank, crypts. If it's a large tank, swords.
Yeah. But crypts, when they
swords not for mid-ground. Swords is a background plant, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're very large.
But, the other one too would be water sprite, water wisteria. Would be another one, but that's background. That's not mid-ground because they get pretty tall. Mid-ground crypts to me would be some of the crypts would be more mid-ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
I dare say I would.
Ooh, good question. Sound pitch. What's going on? How do we know if our fish size is stunted? 2 to 3 year old common goldfish, still 3 inches. Yeah, that's definitely a fish that should be a lot bigger than that at 2 or 3 years old because they grow pretty fast. If it's a common goldfish, those things can get easily a foot long, easily. And usually by 2 to 3 years, you're looking at a fish that is, if it's in a large tank and it's been well fed, you're at least twice that size, if not larger. I had the same issue. I had a group of fish that was given to me by someone who had them in a 10-gallon for a lot longer than those fish should have been in a 10-gallon. I finally got them into a 40 breeder just to give them some space, but they were already a number of years old, and that was actually the goldfish video I did. It was those fish, and they were years old, and they weren't that big. They might have been 5 inches or so, but they were a lot older than 2 or 3 years. And then I eventually got them out of that 40 because I had a choice: either put them in a 125, which I kind of regret not doing, or give them to somebody with a pond, and I chose option B. They wound up in a pond. But the problem is at that point, I don't know how much bigger they were going to get.
Noelle's dropping by. Hi.
What's up?
Wait, dropping in to say hi, but can't stay long. Middle son is home from college tonight.
Nice.
Aww.
Well, have fun.
That's fun.
Cool. Beauty says, what are your must-haves in a tank to breed yellow labs? not much. They're pretty easy to breed. So
Just yellow labs.
I would have at least a 40-gallon breeder. Just yellow labs. Get a half a dozen, and hopefully, I mean, I usually buy them pretty small, let them grow up, and hopefully I get some males and females out of that. That's why I usually buy a half dozen, because you're highly likely to get at least one male or one female in that group. Decent amount of rock work, and let them get to, I mean, the fish in the 75-gallon over here by me, those fish, I've watched those yellow labs, they've been holding the females since they were about 2 inches. They breed very young. And the other thing I will tell you is be careful what you wish for, because of two things. One, they will breed like crazy once they get going. And two, in terms of getting rid of the fry, at least in our area, it actually can be somewhat difficult. I don't pull any of the females in this tank. Now, that's part of the reason is because I've got that big piece of driftwood and it's all glued together, and so to get those fish out would be a nightmare. Kind of a mistake, because the Psilocybe females are also holding, and I would actually like to have those fry. But if I had yellow labs breeding for me, I don't know if I would actually pull the females. I might let some of the fry survive, but they're hard for me to get rid of in this area. Now, your area could be completely different, and maybe pet stores are asking for them, or you've got people who want them. But they're not hard to breed. Just give them some time. Once they get to about 2 inches, you got males and females, they will start to breed.
Aim Check asks, are you guys a fish store?
We are not, you would think, with all the fish tanks we have. No, we're not a fish store. We've just got the fish room on the other side. So this is the gallery behind us, and we've got 40 tanks across the way. And we just, for the most part, when we first started, I did a lot of breeding. I've cut back on the breeding. I import a lot of fish. We quarantine them for 4 weeks, and then we sell at swaps. So Chicagoland swaps. We don't ship fish. We don't have a retail store or anything like that. We can barely keep the fish in stock for the swaps with what we're doing now. So no need to complicate our lives with doing anything more. I did see a question. I don't remember who asked it. It was a good question. It was, how many shell dwellers would I start with in a 20-gallon? And I don't remember where that question went. But for me, I would probably start with 6. And again, hopefully you get some males and females, put a ton of shells in there, put 30 shells in there. Put a little bit of rock work just so they have line of sight blocks. They tend to be a little bit less hard on one another, especially in the center if you've got some rocks kind of stacked up there. And give it 6-9 months and you probably have a tank filled with them. Now, if they're gold ocellatus or some of the more challenging ones like the Meleagris, those take a little bit more effort. Sometimes you have to remove the shells once you notice that the female is spending a lot of time in there. But if they're Maltese or Similis or Signatus or Brevis, they usually just breed and leave most of the fry alone. So that's what I would do.
Matt Flash says that he pre-ordered Platinum Dwarf Frogs and Scarlet Batis for the GCCA.
Very cool.
Thanks for the great selection. Good job.
Thank you.
He always picks really fun stuff.
Yeah, I want it to be fun.
Can dwarf frogs live with 4 juvenile Fundulopanchex Gardneri in a 60 breeder?
Probably. Just keep an eye on them. The big thing is just make sure that the frogs are getting enough food. So sinking pouch. So what I would do is find something that floats for the killies and then put something in that sinks for the frogs, so that just so that they're getting enough food. And just keep an eye on them, make sure that the frogs aren't getting pestered. That would be the only potential issue, but it's a big tank, so most likely they'll be okay. Okay, let me see here. I saw more questions and then I lost them. That seems to be the theme for tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
Hold on, I'm going to scroll all the way to the very, very bottom, and then I'm going to work my way back up. Matt says, snakeskin barbs, gold barbs are pretty similar. I kept my gold barbs and sailfin mollies at 125. Yeah, that's a nice mix. Snakeskin barbs, I think, are they my favorite barb?
Yeah,
I think they are.
think they are.
We've got them in that
We really
125.
like
We
'em.
did a species profile on those fish and absolutely love the snakeskin barb.
They're really pretty.
At some point, this is going to bother me now. Did I hit this table or the camera? Why does it look crooked all of a sudden? It didn't look like that at the beginning.
I don't know.
It's very annoying.
Kind of late now, dude.
Yeah, well. Oh, well. All right, we got time for one or two more.
Wait, Oink says, have you ever kept any types of shell dwellers with Bouchardi? The only shell dwellers I've ever kept are Maltese and Ornipinus, and they teeny tiny compared to Bouchardi.
Yeah. I've kept them together. the Burchardi just breeds so
Oh, yeah.
prolifically. They wind up taking over the tank, and what usually winds up happening is your shell dwellers have a hard time, the fry have a hard time surviving. If anything's going to happen, you might start to see a little bit of confrontation from time to time. If I were going to do that, I'd want at least a 40 breeder, even a 55 gallon, something where you got some height so that the shell dwellers, if they start chasing other fish away from the shells, that the Burchardi have somewhere to go, maybe rock work on one side of the tank, shells on the other, just to kind of keep them separate from one another as well. Cousin Films, when is your next fish swap? Sunday. Sunday, we're going to be at the GCCA in Northbrook, Illinois, and then there's the Greenwater Aquarius Society swap on the 1st. That's a Saturday, 1st of February. We're going to both.
M&C just found out their first great-grandchild will be a boy.
Wow, nice. Congratulations. Very cool.
Congrats.
Very nice.
A lot of babies.
That is awesome.
Babies.
Lot of babies.
Lots of
Very cool.
babies.
Oh, let's see here. Now it just says, my question was about my insane Anubias, and I thought Joanna might have some tips. Insane Anubias?
Oh, what do you
What
have
did the
about
Anubias do? Eat your fish? Now that would be something. Attack of the Anubias.
That would make a great cartoon movie.
And that little, every time Anubias flowers, like it has that little thing, it just for some reason, the first movie I think of is Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Really? No, I would think about the what's the other one with the not Rocky Horror Picture Show. The plant, the eating plant, the
Silent Green? I don't know.
no, it's like a musical, with
Musical. I'm out.
oh my gosh, what's the movie about the eating plant? The
Little Shop?
Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah. Is that
Little
it?
Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of.
No. They
Yes.
do one of those things, the fish fall asleep, and all of a sudden they wake up
Feed me, Seymour.
like that. That'd be horrible.
No,
It would be.
no.
All right, everybody, on that happy note, I think we're going to call it a night because that's pretty scary, don't you think? Yeah, we're going to call it a night. We're going to let everybody go to bed. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to everybody who asked the awesome questions and the super chats and stickers and new members and everything. Thank you. We will be back same time, same place next Thursday. We'll have another fun topic. I've got one listed here somewhere. I don't remember what it is, but it will be here. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Night.
Bye, everybody.